He starts to reveal that. And I think that's an important message for people, tapping into some stuff that it's amazing that you're connecting to those things that you put in there and hope people find and grab onto, and that you're doing that. I appreciate that very much.
Tyler, you were clinically dead 9 months ago.
And I would like to start by saying that there is one interesting scene. Well, there are many interesting scenes, but especially this one. It's when Nick says that Tyler's life fits in one little box, you know? And initially I thought that, well, maybe that's not a bad thing, but then I thought that maybe the message in this scene is how a man with so many stories and experiences only have a few memories to protect. You know, maybe everything is so painful that he only have few memories to protect.
Yeah.
And I would like to know, Chris, what do you think about that?
Yeah, really interesting. That was part of actually the reshoot process. We wanted an indication that this was a man with not many attachments, and possibly due to the pain of losing things that he was close to, and to trying to avoid that. There was a isolation to that message also that I think explains some of the trauma and the sadness, and this individual, there's a lonely kind of path he's on of self-destruction. And I think Nick's reminder to that, or attention she brought to that, that truth was, maybe it's time to expand. Maybe it's time to open up, open your heart, meet new people.
Yeah.
You know.
What was very interesting about that kind of foreshadowing is fitting in one little box, and she gives it to him and it's closed, right? So and this character is very closed off emotionally. And then over the course of the movie, he opens the box and he starts to expand, his connections, and he starts to care a little bit for more people. And we see inside that emotionally closed off box of his heart, and it starts to open, and we see more inside the character and the shame and guilt he feels. He just starts to reveal that. And I think that's an important message for people, is the connection with other humans is vital. And having a space, a safe space to share your hurts and pains and faults, that's a very important thing.
We gotta move! Right, everyone okay? Kids, you good?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And talking about, human emotions, Extraction opens a conversation about how people that are born or grow up in a violent context not necessarily become evil or violent, and that's made me think that this idea of abuse or terror will never stand above primal emotions like love or caring. Do you agree about that?
Yeah, I'm glad. Well, you're tapping into some stuff that it's amazing that you're connecting to those things that you put in there and hope people find and grab onto, and that you're doing that. I appreciate that very much, because we tried to. I mean, from the kind of physical abuse side and violence, Tyler Rake and our villain Zurab are kind of two different sides to the same coin, right? Like, things can happen in your life that you don't have a lot of control over. It's then what you do after that experience, I think, that separates you. Like, you can go down the hero's path, you can go down the villain's path. And it's a very thin differentiation. You're walking a razor's edge. And so, we wanted to kind of tap into that humanity for both of those characters and show that it's a very real thing, a very real issue that a lot of people in the world, unfortunately, have to deal with. This trauma in childhood. Even trauma as an adult, like him losing a child, that's very real and very, I think, relatable, because everyone goes through something similar. Now, it may not be everyone's getting beaten by their parents or losing a child, but we all have trauma, whether big T or little t. And how we deal with that, I think, is a very important conversation to have.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, the same. How different people deal with different experiences, and whether it's nature over nurture or vice versa. And you see examples of, hurt people, and other experiences where you see people overcome the most horrific challenges and experiences, and it kind of, for me, highlights the complexity of all of us, and can we ever really judge anyone, because we have, such a gamut or a spectrum of experiences that have led us to this point. and that was you know, and yeah, I love that you've pointed that out in amongst an action film at first glance, that there is depth, emotional stories there and things for people to think about.
Yeah, no, so again, this is a great movie. I think it's more political than the first one, and I think that's great. So
yeah,
thank you very much. The action sequences are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful question. Thank you.
Getting you out of here, okay?